It starts with a sound. The sound of silence, where a construction site should be roaring with life. It's the sound of a half-finished apartment building, its empty windows like vacant eyes staring out over a city. This isn't just one failed project. For millions of Chinese families, real estate isn't just an asset. It represents 70% of their household wealth. Now that dream is dying. Bloomberg Economics calculates that every 5% drop in home prices erases nearly $3.6 trillion in citizen wealth. This is the story of the world's biggest housing bubble and its spectacular implosion. A story that the International Monetary Fund calls a historic property downturn matched only by the most severe collapses of the last 3 decades. The cracks from this collapse are already spreading, and they are about to shake the foundations of the global economy. So, in this video, we're going to investigate the financial wreckage. First, we'll look at the staggering numbers that show just how deep this crisis goes. Second, we'll uncover the 2 fatal decisions that lit the fuse for this explosion. And most importantly, we'll explain why this internal collapse in China is now triggering pain for the entire world. Okay, let's get into the hard numbers because they are breathtaking. At its peak, China's real estate sector was a monster, making up nearly 30% of its entire GDP. For comparison, America's housing bubble peaked at just 6% of its GDP before it crashed the world. The fallout is now undeniable. The most recent data paints a picture of a market in freefall. New home sales by the top 100 developers have plunged over 24% year over year. New construction starts have fallen a catastrophic 75% from their 2021 peak. And developers like Evergrande, with its $300 billion in debt, haven't just stumbled, they have defaulted, creating systemic risks. So how did we get here? It was a perfect storm created by 2 core reasons. First, a national speculative frenzy. For decades, property was seen as the only reliable path to wealth. This drove families to borrow heavily, creating ghost cities on a scale the world has never seen. The second cause was a sudden, brutal government crackdown. Seeing the bubble inflate to dangerous levels, Beijing implemented the 3 red lines policy in 2020. It instantly cut off easy credit to indebted developers. It was like hitting the emergency brake on a speeding train. The flow of money stopped, construction halted, and the entire house of cards began to tremble. So when you put these 2 forces together, speculative mania met with a sudden credit freeze, you get more than just a market correction. You get a balance sheet recession on a national scale. The dream of property wealth has turned into a nightmare of debt and negative equity. This isn't just my opinion. Goldman Sachs warns that without major intervention, this housing downturn could persist until 2027. This is no longer just China's problem. The shockwaves from this controlled demolition are now hitting the rest of the world. So how does a property crisis in China hurt you? The pain is transmitted through 2 main channels. First, the commodity crash. For 20 years, China's insatiable construction boom meant it was buying up more than half of the world's steel and copper. Now, that demand has vanished, crushing commodity prices and threatening recessions in countries from Australia to Brazil that depend on selling raw materials to China. Second, the risk of Japanification and global deflation. Analysts now widely warn of a prolonged period of economic stagnation, similar to Japan's lost decades. As falling asset prices destroy confidence, Chinese consumers stop spending, and factories are forced to dump cheap goods on global markets. This not only sparks trade wars, but exports deflation, threatening jobs and industries worldwide. As a final thing, this crisis has backed the Chinese Communist Party into a corner. Despite multiple stimulus measures, the crisis persists because they are only treating the symptoms. As analysts from the University of Toronto's Global Economic Policy Lab put it, without structural reforms that re-establish consumer confidence, address demographic shifts, and rebalance local government financing, current policy efforts will be insufficient to resolve the crisis. But here lies the impossible choice. Do they implement those deep reforms, or do they let the system slowly bleed out? The answer from Goldman Sachs offers a chilling final thought. They wrote, given the durability of housing stock and stickiness of house prices, it may take years for housing busts to finally find a bottom. The day China's economy died wasn't a single event. It's happening right now in slow motion. They built ghost cities on foundations of debt, and now the whole world is finding out just how shaky those foundations really are.